What's up guys, Nick here from Bent on Better. Today I want to show you a couple hacks that you can use at the office if you are an office worker or a desk worker and you sit down frequently, or you are hunched over paperwork frequently, or maybe you sit at a laptop. So things that you can try to utilize in the office setting to help take some of that stress off of your neck, off of your back, and help you feel a little bit better throughout the day.
All right, so the first thing here is just going to be simply bringing awareness to your posture. And a lot of us at work tend to maintain this hunched over positioning, this poor posture position at a desk, where, from time to time, what you want to try and do is just be aware of that, straighten yourself out, lax up your muscles, lax up your neck, and then start off with some exercises here. So the first thing I like to do is always take my neck through a range of motion. I start off with some circles, and then I'll go ahead and look over my shoulders. And this would be starting off with a fairly basic movement. And if you'd like to upgrade this movement, you can use a table or your own thigh to grip onto to push yourself a little further. Next, we have this larger scale motion, which is going to incorporate more of that upper middle back. These are trunk rotations. And so what you're focusing on here is just reaching as far as you can to each side, almost like you're reaching for a light bulb on each side, and rotate very similarly like we do in our own Bent on Better warm-ups, where we incorporate trunk rotations. And then next here we've got chin tucks, which look very simple, but they're actually pretty hard. So the first few things I'm going to point out in this video are, one, I don't want you guys to flare out your ribs when you do this, right? That's bad. I want you guys to focus on keeping your ribs pressed down, and you can do this by contracting your abdomen. So squeezing your abs. And then from here, you just want to focus on bringing your chin back through your neck, almost like you're aiming toward the wall. All right, this next one, you can go ahead and stand up, and we're going to work on some pelvic movement. So we're going to rotate our pelvis anteriorly and posteriorly, or forward and back. We're going to stick our butt way out and then tuck it way under. And what I'm calling attention to in the video here, the cues are to contract the abs, squeeze the glutes, and keep the ribs down as you guys tuck your pelvis. Great movement, because a lot of us get locked up in an anterior tilt when we sit for too long. In this next video here, I'm trying to cue you guys into contracting your legs inward and then pushing them outward. So driving the knees in versus driving the knees out. And this is going to help reset your pelvis. After this, you can go ahead and throw in a few more of those anterior and posterior pelvic tilts. Just make sure that that pelvis is in good alignment prior to your next exercise. And then here you can see I'm doing a quadricep stretch, or the front of the thigh musculature. I'm focusing on stretching out. And this is really good because when we sit down for too long, we often get tight hip flexors. So we get that feeling of tightness in the front of our hips. With this next exercise, this is a seated figure 4 stretch. This will help stretch out the posterior musculature of the hip. So you see me gripping my right leg, left hand at the ankle, right hand at the knee, chest forward in an upright seated position. I'm going to grip my ankle and pull upward while I press downward with my right hand. This helps torque the hip and get a deeper stretch. Of course, don't forget, sometimes it's just a matter of taking your body through weird, strange ranges of motion and moving your joints in various ways and just finding whatever feels good. Just keep in mind, we're trying to keep everything pain-free, and we're trying to move our joints frequently and through wide ranges of motion. Here, this is another exercise you can use for shoulder blade retraction, or trying to keep your posture nice and upright. So you can focus on pulling your shoulder blades backward, rotating your shoulders outward, while also keeping in mind some of those other cues we mentioned earlier. So keeping your ribs down by contracting your abdomen, tucking your chin back, and maintaining good upright posture. Next, here I'm taking my spine into extension. I'm working on extending my lower and my mid back. And then here, I'm flexing my spine. So I'm rounding out everything, rounding out my upper back and my lower back. Another good stretch to work in here is going to be a calf stretch. And so here I'm stretching my right calf. I'm keeping my heel on the ground, chest pointed forward, and I'm trying to imagine pushing my belly button forward. This keeps me in good posture and good alignment as I stretch. You should feel this in the back of the leg. All right, now not all of our jobs will allow us to do this, but if you're able to stand, this is going to be great because you can change positions frequently when you stand. Now here, what I would recommend doing is trying to get whatever you're working on at eye level with your shoulders pulled down and back. This will help take strain off of your neck and keep your shoulders in better positioning. If you have a high desk or some kind of ledge to lean on or put your paperwork, I would recommend trying to transfer your weight from hip to hip often, and in some instances, evening out the distribution. The key point here is move frequently and change positions often. And of course, don't be afraid to sit back down because sitting will help take some of the stress off your joints.